Yay Media Group.
Welcome to this week's episode of My Safe Word is More with your hosts from Survivor and Amazing Race, Corinne Kaplan, comedian Al Jackson. I'm your producer, Chris Clark, and this is My Safe Word is More.
What's up, girl?
Hello.
How are you? And what's up, Chris? How are you?
Hey.
Welcome, swimmers. I am super excited to be here. I have a lot of good stories.
Okay.
But I wanted to open with, I want to do a little bit of a recap. So last episode was the first episode we used to have video here and there, but for the most part, we never had video. And it was our first time having video.
Yes.
So I'm going to get into some of the reactions we got from our listeners, from my parents, the people we care the most about.
Fingers crossed.
Listeners first, then parents.
I'm a little worried.
And then I'm going to talk to you guys about an incident I had where my home was vandalized. We're going to talk about my recent dosing of magic mushrooms, and then we're going to get into an amazing listener email. So everybody ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So first and foremost, to all of the gay men, you know who you are, that reached out to me and asked me why the fuck I was wearing a sweater vest in the last episode. I respect your voice.
Yeah, and let's just let them be honest. You're going to a community theater production of Grease after the show.
So Nathan reached out and he's like, why are you dressed like my first grade art teacher? And I swear to God, I got that, first of all, that sweater vest was quite expensive, and I got it at a vintage market, like in LA, when I was visiting for the Brady roast.
By the way, though, Corinne, that's what every kid in school, when they got bullied for something they were wearing, they were like, it's $100. They'd be like, well, you wasted your money.
Listen, I know what you all were really saying, which is why were your tits not out? And I agree. The thing is that we had recorded and re-recorded a bunch of times, and we just kept failing, and I just was like exasperated. I was like, I don't want to get dressed up again. But here I am today, tits out. So if you're watching video, and if you're not, let me tell you, you should subscribe to the YouTube. My safe word is more.
Right.
So then you can see.
Click the tab,
nice
tits out.
Breastwork I had done.
Yes.
Okay, so in watching the video back, I was like, I don't look very good. And every girl that's listening knows what I'm talking about. The two boys in the room did not. But I do not abuse or really use filters at all, mostly because I'm too stupid to understand how to use them. However, I utilize good lighting. And the lighting wasn't great. And so I said to I think it was Kyle that reached out, whose drag name is Polly Pop-Tart. He's amazing. Go follow him.
Yeah, shout out.
So Kyle reached out and he was like, hey, he reposted. He's like, congrats on the first episode. I was like, I already know that I don't look great. I go, they told me it was white balance. And he goes, white balance is the term for what you did with the lighting, right?
Right.
And he goes, that's correct. Al looked fantastic. You did not.
Thank you, Polly.
So anyways, onward and upward, guys. So I wanted to review that I got a lot of feedback about our topic of fisting.
Okay.
And
what would you say the balance of fisting to lighting emails were? Because that's quite the inbox.
Yeah. Well, the problem with the lighting was I solicited a lot of info about that. And the fisting, that was unsolicited. People just started in droves writing in about the fisting. And I think too, because we put out a social media clip where we talk about the fisting, but you don't understand the full context. So first of all, my father,
which is very important in a fisting conversation.
It is kind of important. So yes, this podcast is called My Safe Word is More, but unfortunately I'm quite vanilla. And so sometimes I learn about things and I only know a little bit about it. And then I pretend like I know more than I do.
Right.
Which is a good example
and you call your doctor a thought.
Yes.
Yes.
And so so my father, he only had seen the social media clip. He hadn't yet listened to the episode, but I sent it to him just to be like, hey, wet your palate, get excited. And he was like, how the fuck am I supposed to tell my friends to listen to this? You're doing a podcast. And he goes, and who would want to be fisted? And I go, well, it's not for everyone, but it's for some people.
Right.
And he goes, Corinne, the only way I could possibly sell this to the people in my over 55 community is for the ones that have colostomy bags to explain how they could have gotten the bag faster.
There it is. Something that they call that a takeaway for the listener.
Yes.
So I'm with it.
So I thought that it would be, I have a really big surprise for you, Al. Chris obviously knows. I go through my stories with Chris ahead of time. Al never knows what I'm going to say.
Never.
So the witch, who I have talked about on many episodes, she not only practices witchcraft and does spells for me, but also facilitates gangbangs.
What?
Yeah.
Facilitates? What, do you have a clipboard? What is it? What does that
She's
entail?
really heavy into the scene.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah. And I love anytime, but she's so humble and not like she would never.
She's not above it.
Yeah,
She actually walks amongst the people and also
she'll tell you if you want to know. Like when her birthday came around, she's like, "Listen, everyone at this party are all swingers, so just like." Just make it clear that that's not your bag because people are going to assume that's what you're, that's the group I roll with. And so, anyways, she reached out to me immediately and she's like, bitch, I have a lifetime membership to Beducated. Yes. So not Fistify, but Beducated.
Why did she go with Beducated?
I did not ask.
Is that the Pepsi of fisting?
I don't know enough about Fistify, but let me tell you, she gave me her login, her password. And guess who's certified in fisting now?
You?
This bitch.
No, before we clap, I would like to know, is it like when somebody gets like ordained online to be a minister? Okay.
Very much so. So let me just say that I would like to give all the respect to Beducated. That platform is actually really clinical, really well done. Like I learned a lot. They go slowly through the information. They have slides, but go from cover to cover, all 7 of the courses I talked to you, including,
courses?
Yeah, so they're broken into courses, and you say complete course, you go to the next one, or you can repeat a course. And so they go through the anatomy. There's like a bunch of spots I didn't know existed. So there's not just a G spot. There's an A spot, there's a C spot, there's a P spot. And they go through all of the clinical definitions of all these things. And then they try to explain to you how fisting can hit more spots. And then like the anus versus vagina. Anyways, the whole thing.
We all remember the anus-vagina wars of the late 1800s.
So the whole thing, I want you to take a guess. 7 courses, including aftercare. 7 courses. Mm-hmm. How long do you think it took me to go through?
3.5 hours.
30 minutes.
No, were there some courses you were like, is it like they skipped the grade? Like you actually can just take a test and go straight to double fisting?
Listen, it's bite size. Much like this podcast.
Yes.
And so they were like, first course, 4 minutes. Second course, the longest course was the actual how to get your hand up there, which we're going to...
You mean the main course?
Yeah.
That's where there should be a university.
That was the meat. I took some notes. So that part was a strong 10 minutes. Now, I want to correct us because I don't like to give out misinformation, though, my advice is questionable. I like to give out truth. I was incorrect in a bit of what I was talking about with fisting the first time around, and I just want to go back and review that. So... there is a thing, how we were like, when you go to a sex store, you never see a tight fist.
There's never a white power fist.
Okay, that's because that's called punching.
Oh.
Yeah, kid, punch the pussy.
Oh.
Yeah. And so that is also a thing, or the anus.
Why do you need to punch it? Why can't you?
There's 2 different things. If you start closed fists, punching.
Wait, you can start closed?
Correct. I mean, this has got to be an experience.
I was about to say this. Okay.
Or it's someone that just gave birth. I don't know. But the normal thing is, here's where we went wrong. And you could tell that a bunch of squares in this fucking studio. Here's where we went wrong. Even this fisting, where you're going in like this.
She's making the kind of G.I. Joe karate, like action figure karate chop, like when the fingers are together.
So, you're minimizing the width of your knuckles. But then once you get in, this was the instructional part that was quite hard to follow. Once you get past the second sphincter, you do go to fist mode.
Oh.
Once you're in there, once your wrist in, you get into fist mode.
Yeah, it's like when you sneak booze into a nightclub, you're like very discreet, like jacket closed. And then when you get in the club, you're like, all right, give me a glass. It's on. I've just saved us $200 tonight. Like maybe that's how the pinky is. The pinky is the little.
Well, I mean, this is very technical. I look, we're not promoted by this company, but should they be interested, we interested too, boo.
Beducated?
Beducated.
It sounds like something that a douchebag named like Ben would say after he had a sexual conquest.
Yeah.
Let's just say Corinne got beducated this weekend. I could just see like a guy from the 80s. Anyway.
So I have a couple other notes. One thing they taught me about was a lube shooter.
Okay.
So that is a turkey baster with lube in it that you squirt up into the hole. And they do keep calling it the hole, which I guess is like gender neutral. They squirt the lube up in, so there's like just a bunch of lube up there already because it requires a ton of lube, which they cannot stress enough times.
Right.
And then the other thing I learned is that oftentimes people wear gloves when they do this.
Oh, that makes sense.
Because they were like, because if you have a hangnail, I was like, that's our concern. And then the other thing they said is if you have long nails, because aren't you wondering what you do if you have long nails?
Didn't cross my mind, but it makes sense.
Here's a crazy concept of what they suggest. You take Play-Doh and form it around each nail, then put your hand in the glove.
I like that idea because the time it takes to put Play-Doh on each finger, it gives you a second to think about what you're about to do. And just like walking back all the steps to like
the irony
how we got here.
Is that if you guys will remember, I have the most horrific allergic reaction to the smell of Play-Doh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so when you combine those two things, that would
we
not
have
be.
a lot of new listeners.
Yeah.
I think when they hear people say, I have a horrible reaction to like Play-Doh, please briefly explain, like, you have an issue.
Oh, yeah. If like Chris is sitting diagonal from me, he's off video. If he opened a can of Play-Doh, even thinking about it makes me nauseous. If he opened the can of Play-Doh and I could smell it, I would instantly vomit. So that's fun.
Okay. I feel like you say that right before you're on America's Got Talent.
Well,
and then somebody, your sidekick, comes out with some Play-Doh.
Ironically, that is when we were going on Amazing Race. When we were being interviewed, they were like, "Do you have any?" And I was like, "No Play-Doh in any capacity. I cannot do a challenge with Play-Doh." And they were like, "Okay." And so Eliza's like, "What's your problem?" I was like, "If we get on an airplane and there's a child with Play-Doh, like this is a major problem. It's my kryptonite."
Yeah, children don't play with Play-Doh on airplanes.
No, but you know what children play
iPads
with?
now.
They play with spray cans and graffiti my home. So after this break, you're going to hear about the vandalism that I incurred.
Vagrants.
Okay, so I want to first ask you, as someone who has had their home, I'm sure, vandalized.
Yes, mine was an interior vandalization.
Do you want to just give the people a quick recap, please? For those of you who are new, it's worth listening.
Yes. Actually, I think even before I met Corinne to do this podcast, I had a fiance. Long story short, it didn't work out. I decided to end the relationship. I tried to do it the right way, gave her some money. She moved from out of state, so I gave her a couple $1,000 to leave. I let her keep the ring, and I moved out of my home for 3.5, 4 weeks while she moved out. Now, a lot of people are like, why would you do that? At the time I was on TV every day, black man, TV, can't have like any dust ups at the crib. So that was me thinking forward. So I stayed in a hotel, and when I came back, she stole every single thing that I owned on the planet. I will send all the footage so everybody can see this. But yes, my home was completely empty on the inside. Looked great on the outside, though, not like your home.
No, like the light switches she stole. Like she dug up the flowers.
She dug up the flowers from the flower bed.
Yeah.
I forgot she stole the ceiling fan. I forgot about that.
Well, why can't leave the ceiling fans?
What a dirt bag.
Yeah. I mean, she also stole the sauna and like legitimate things.
Yes.
But
she stole my heavy bag.
Yeah.
With cement in the bottom.
Yeah. She was not to be trifled with.
Clearly.
Mm-hmm. So
worth it.
Okay, so back to my story. So I didn't understand the level of rage. Like, I am somebody who has like a river of rage running all the time through me.
I think that's the plot of Ghostbusters too.
Yeah. And so I'm going to tackle this from two angles. One is I acknowledge that I am an angry person many times. And I just feel like the world is moving too slow and like nobody's doing the things they're supposed to do. So I become like sort of involved in this narration in my head.
Elon Musk without the money.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I think Elon and I are very similar. We both believe we're living in a simulation. So, all right. So I'm already an angry person. I have started microdosing mushrooms. So we're going to get to that separately. But the reason I started doing it is not for like depression or anything like that. Or I don't know what other people use it for. But like
fun.
Irritability. I thought it's going to make me a little bit calmer.
Take the edge off a little bit.
I thought so.
The soda water to your scotch.
Yeah. Though, I like my alcohol by itself.
Yes, that's the point.
So,
mushrooms were not working so far.
So now I have started microdosing these mushrooms. I did them 2 days in a row with food. I felt nothing. Third day, I tried it with no food in the morning because this idiot that sold them to me had no information to give me. And that day, I was both severely nauseous and irritable. Now I've gotten it down to where I don't intermittent fast anymore. I have to have at least one hard-boiled egg with the mushrooms in the morning. All right, so just put that...
Breakfast of champions.
Put that in the back of your mind. So I just had started doing this. So I don't know. I didn't really feel much yet. I go for a walk because the other thing I try and do to calm myself is about 3 times a week, I go for a 5-mile walk.
Wait, when you wake up in the morning, do you feel anxious?
Yes. It's why I can't have caffeine. I feel like I'm going to take the SATs every morning when I wake up.
Really?
Yes. Every morning.
That's very strange. And I think that definitely relates to the fact that you cannot sleep. I think that you need to talk to your doctor and get a medication because there's something in your brain that is telling what I've heard of your condition, if it's what I think it is. It's
My
like
condition.
When you're trying to sleep in a foxhole, like in war, you're constantly like, what was that? Like you never get good sleep. And so that's why when you wake up, you're exhausted. So we have figured out a way in 2024 to turn that down.
Well,
and there's a medication, because a podcaster I listen to, Dana Gould, I love his show, he has that. It's called subnambular hyper response. Basically, when you're asleep, your body's in a hyper state. So like it's constantly like you're trying to sleep outside. Like you can't rest.
He's probably taking if I said it, would you know it?
Yes.
It's like Quivivic or something.
Maybe that's a new one. It's not.
That's the one that I think is supposed to target that.
Name.
But the problem is I have it during the day, right? Like I literally get nervous every time I'm heading to my gym for no reason. There's nothing that's going to happen at the gym, but I'm like nervous for the workout for the day. Anyways, back to the story at hand. I went for this walk, part of me calming myself. I left for the walk and I returned. I usually walk for close to 2 hours, but about an hour and 15 in, I had to go to the bathroom. So I came back to just pee and then really quick go back.
2 hours?
Yeah. So a lot of shit I got to calm down.
Jesus, but that's like usually when you do that, when you come back to your village, you're considered a man and you can get married. Yeah. Jesus.
So, all right. So I come back and I use the bathroom and then I go back out and I like to finish my walk like at sunset. So I come back. So now remember, it's fully bright outside and this happened in a 45-minute increment of time, basically between 6:15 and 7 p.m. So broad daylight. I come home. The entire front of my house has been graffitied.
Graffitied?
Red graffiti paint.
Wait, when you say the front of your house, I'm not giving away where you live, but their home's close to you.
It's a townhouse, but I am the front of the townhouses. So it's my front wall.
And they got
me.
How tall? 6 feet?
No. So they kept it to weirdly like this. It's hard to explain, but there's like an electrical door in the front and they like did it on the door, but the door is the front of my home. Anyways, when I tell you that I
always wanted a trap house.
I was a level 10 anger. And like, I didn't know what to do. Like, I couldn't even wrap my mind around this. And then, of course, immediately, if you don't know this about me, I don't like children. I don't care what age. I don't care how good looking or cute or anything. I don't like children. And I fucking hate youths. And
okay. So
I know.
Where do youths end?
18.
Okay. So
they're fine
a third
at 19.
of the population.
I hate teens in general. I think they're all rotten. There's like not like one I've met and been like, oh my God, what a lucky parent you are. This teen is great. No, I never think that. I hate all of them. And I also, I'm really going to get old man here, but like I also don't recycle because I just don't believe in I don't care what happens to the planet after I'm done. Because I just don't care about the children. And now a child has defaced my home. And
wait, why do you think it was a child?
There's no adult that's going to do this. And also, it was a terrible graffiti job.
Wait, because there's two kinds of graffiti. There's the graffiti. Tagging. There's the graffiti that suburban white people like, which is beautiful art.
Banksy?
Like you'll see like an 18-foot mural of like a beautiful woman in a kimono DJing or something.
Oh,
like,
yeah, I like that.
That's one kind of graffiti. The other kind of graffiti is tagging, where you're just letting somebody know this is our block. If you come here, it's going to be a problem for y'all. It's no art involved.
Correct. That's what I got.
Okay.
Now, the other thing is it took me a minute to even like understand what it said. So it says DER, D-E-R.
D-E-R.
Which must be someone's initials, but
probably.
The second I sent it to Jay, he's like, I think they're calling you Derpy. And I was like, great.
What is Derpy? Should I know what that is?
I don't think I can say it.
Okay.
I'll look it up for you if you'd like.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know what it is. My kids use that term all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. No, but why would somebody who doesn't know you...
It's simple. It's just foolish or stupid.
Okay.
If you're derpy, you're kind of foolish. Some people almost think of it as like a compliment, though. Like you're a little nerdy, but nerdy cool.
Oh, okay.
Well, so I begin spinning out and I'm like, what can I do? Like, I'm pulling camera footage from like neighbors' cameras. Like, how dare this person deface my home? You're treating this
like the Kennedy assassination?
Yes, of course. And I'm getting nowhere and I'm so angry. And like, I call my mom and I'm like, this is like, I can't even repeat some of the things I said because you just would not be pleased with me because these two people in this room have children that are of age to graffiti. But my mother says...
Why do you think they were under 18, though?
Because no adult, first of all, I don't live near like the homeless encampments, and we have a big problem in Denver. Like and my mom's like, my mom tries this approach. She goes, they probably came from a worse home than you did. And I was like,
that's a good guess.
I go, you're right.
Probably.
And I go,
wouldn't it be crazy if you found out that they flew in from Bel Air on their own jet?
But I'm like, Mom, or they are just a rich kid in my neighborhood that's bored and wants to do. What do you think that they bust themselves in? They took several buses and then, like we don't even have a station near us. So then they walked 4 miles to get to my property. It's probably a rich kid in my neighborhood, which made me even more angry.
Probably not.
But then she says the only other thing she can think to say to salvage the situation.
You're better than them?
No, I'll tell you after the break.
Oh, I need to know now.
Okay, so my mother is at this point, like, she can tell, like she's a little concerned. Like, I'm really, really out of my mind with anger. And she goes, Corinne, just be glad they didn't graffiti the word Jew.
Okay. There we go.
So I just want to say, when it's my mom that has to look on the bright side, that's the kind of advice you get.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, your mom took it a whole different direction. I just think it was just somebody that's tagging territory for a gang that would like to sell drugs on that block.
Well, my mother also Googled, which I don't know if any of you encounter this vandalism. My mother Googled and she goes, how much nail polish remover do you have? It'll take it off if it's fresh. So I got it off with nail polish remover.
Really?
Yeah. I also, obviously ruined my own manicure, and, the nail polish remover took off some of the paint, but I got all the red stuff off.
Why didn't you wear gloves?
I did. It went through the gloves. I can't, I mean, I won't be using those for fisting, apparently. But I had, doctor gloves, surgical gloves. No, I went right through them. Nevertheless, the city has a program in Denver because graffitiing has gotten so bad where you submit a ticket and they will come and fix it. But because I took most of it off, they were like, we don't see it. And they wouldn't fix it. So anyways, that's not the point.
So you end up doing their job for them.
I did. And then I learned how to paint. This weekend, my brother was visiting. I got the special paint that was given to me with my home to touch up. I got sandpaper.
Special paint. Did somebody bless it at the Vatican?
I just assume it's really hard to get the exact color. It's not like white. It was like a blue. Anyways, so the other thing I wanted to mention is the mushrooms. So now I have gotten it down to a science where I feel like they are helping a little bit.
Really? Honestly, this is a breakthrough for you.
I mean, not a lot. You saw me today.
I'll take a little bit. I'll take a little bit.
Okay. But here's the thing they're primarily doing. I am somebody that is incredibly unemotional. I'm angry, yes. But you really would have a hard time finding, tears.
So you take all your emotions and put it into one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. But here's the thing. So one of my favorite pastimes is, because this will wrap right into the graffiti children's story, I love stories about kidnapping. I just find it so interesting. Oh, you stole one? And then what'd you do? Oh, you put it in a basement. I the JC2 guards. I love Amanda, what's her nuts? I love a kidnapping story. So... And I should mention, I grew up in Florida where, the mall kidnapping of Adam Walsh happened.
Oh.
I always screw this up. Is Adam the son or the one who started?
John Walsh is the father.
Right, Adam's the kid.
America's Most Wanted.
So Adam went to a neighboring elementary school to where I went. And once that happened, oh my God, my mother, I can't have my name on my backpack. I can't, there was training and don't answer to your name. And anyways, this and that. I wasn't even allowed to use the school bus for a while. My mom had to pick me up at school.
Did you have a kidnapping scare when you were in school, as a younger person? Because we definitely did, and it's on Netflix now, which is very crazy. Because you have to remember, no one really has a common knowledge because the internet exists. But before this, there was just 2 or 3 things that everybody from that town, and Amy Mahalovic, which she was in a part of town of Cleveland, she was kidnapped. And I just remember, my mom talking to me about it, and it was one kid.
Yeah.
And I mean, and they eventually caught the guy 35 years later or whatever. But yeah, it definitely, if I called any of my homeboys from Cleveland, they would know who Amy, and they're all grown men.
Honestly shocked that I don't know her name because I am really up on this. Anyways, so I was I poured a drink and I was about to saddle up and enjoy a kidnapping story. And then I got sad. My eyes teared up and I was like, there's fucking mushrooms. So, needless to say, I think I'm cutting the mushrooms. I have to be able to enjoy.
Cut the mushrooms. You realize that maybe the mushrooms are telling you what you really should be enjoying.
Oh, I got emotional and I was like, oh, is this what a normal person feels like when they listen to this?
The mushrooms, it's like, that's your kryptonite. It's making you feel things.
I guess. It's really weird. And I have to dose them 3 days on, 4 days off as per the instructions and whatever. I would love it if you guys would write into me at mysafewordismoreadvice@gmail.com if you have experience. Because once I put a story on my Instagram up about this, I did get a lot of feedback. Like maybe you're not on a high enough dose. I'm on 100 milligrams, 3 days on, 4 days off. Write in, let me know what you think. And along those lines, we have somebody who wrote something in, and I am prepared to share that.
All right.
You ready?
Let's do it.
Well, as I say that,
You're kind of prepared.
Oh.
Hey, and congrats on feeling emotions.
Thank you so much.
It's a real thing.
Thank you.
A real thing. When I stopped drinking hard, I started feeling so. I was like, oh, wait, I think I'm about to cry at the end of this Ken Griffey Jr. documentary when he hugs his dad at first base. You're like, what is that?
Yeah.
It just feels hot.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, no.
I was like, what's leaking from my eyes?
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So this listener sent in a fantastic, this is Amy, who's our field reporter.
Amy.
Shout out to Amy, who discovered Crackhead Craigslist, sent that in, was like, can you cover this? And then she randomly sent me this, which is just kind of a missed connections ad. And I wanted to be sure to cover this. And I want to tell you, Amy and everyone else, I love when you send this stuff in. I only have enough time to go cover to cover on Go Naked every day. And I don't, and to get.
And go on an 8-hour walkabout.
And get certified in fisting. I don't have time to do everything. So this really helps me. Okay. So this is titled Naughty at a Funeral, W4M.
Woman for man. Okay.
Yep. I wish they would stop using these abbreviations.
Why?
Don't you want the most basic one, by the way?
Yeah, I was about to say, like.
I know. When I read it the first time, I was like, white for men. White. It never occurred to me that was woman. White person looking for a man. That's what I thought. Okay. So she says, I am looking for the guy that I banged at my uncle's funeral 2 weeks ago. Great opening. Wonderful. You know what? I know exactly what I've signed up for to read on. She says, we were sitting next to each other and you started rubbing my leg while trying to comfort me.
Wait, she has to give him more details?
I know, right?
Would you know if you had sex with somebody at a funeral?
You're like, shit. Which is it the one I started rubbing the small of her back, or was it the leg one?
No, that was a wedding. No,
yeah.
Okay.
You told me that I was beautiful. And the next thing I knew, we were walking to the bathroom. I respect that they went to the bathroom.
Yeah, it's like, I want to see you in a different light.
I mean, they could have just gone behind a tree.
Yeah, that would have been more dignified. When you're doing it in the bathroom at the funeral, you know somebody's auntie's going to have to go to the bathroom. So you, like...
I was going to say,
that's pretty crazy.
I think we've all had bathroom experiences. And, like, it's really not a nice thing to do if there's only like one bathroom. And I get the vibe that we got to ask Erica Cobb. I haven't been to enough funeral homes, but I don't think they've got like a line of bathrooms.
No.
I think we're talking one or two tops.
Definitely not a unisex that just locks.
And she goes on to say, I'm really worried because you never did say how you knew my uncle. And I'm freaking out that we could be related. And that is something you should think about when you're fucking somebody at a family member's funeral.
Right.
Should have thought about that ahead of time.
Because the only thing at a funeral that you know is that this person is connected to you somehow.
Right.
That's the only thing you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, she really gambled and really maybe just learned a lesson for a lot of people that want to show the world that they hate their uncle.
It's a roll of the dice.
Yeah.
She says, if not, I thought maybe we would continue where we left off. Crash more funerals? I mean, where you left off was the bathroom when there was an open casket.
And how are you getting horned up when dozens of people are crying, people are reading heartfelt messages about what this person meant, and you're just like, look at that brunette. Like, that is, to be able to tune out and focus on your sex life is unbelievably selfish, but maybe she found her perfect person because this person's also unbelievably selfish.
Well, she goes on. This is a great setup because she tells you why. She says, if not, we can continue where we left off. Maybe it was because it was taboo, but it was so hot. I don't think the funeral director knew what to think when we walked out of the bathroom together. Anyways, hope to hear from you. Located in Kansas City.
I think he knew what to think.
I think yes.
Yeah.
I think he decided to get the local jizz janitor to get in there and clean things up.
On aisle 5. Yeah. Just disgusting. Mm-hmm. But I really do double down on that. Maybe as much as it's untoward to most, she found her guy. And a guy that bangs in bathrooms at funerals is probably on Craigslist.
Then probably get his phone number before the funeral ends.
It's not proper etiquette.
Or like first and last name, find him on Facebook. You're going to be connected through the uncle.
Right. Can't you just stagger out too? Why did they both have to appear like they're walking down the aisle?
It feels like the funeral director may have had to use the bathroom. Either that or the bathroom was in full eye line of the funeral director while he was funeral directing.
Well, you got to make up a lie. You got to come out, she's so sick, I was holding her hair.
Yeah, something.
Something. You don't just come out like,
Right, all messy hair.
He's packing.
I mean, we'll have to ask our friend Erica Cobb, whose dad is a funeral director, if he's seen this. Trust me, I spent quite a bit of time talking to him, asking him some dumbass questions. This didn't occur to me to ask. I will ask. Erica, I'm going to need to ask your dad.
You're listening, Erica. And I'll just also say this. I know a lot of black funerals where if you did this, like, you'd have to step outside. Like somebody's
going to take care of that.
If it was a beloved family member and you're disrespecting.
So disrespectful.
Ooh.
Okay, well, I would like to hear Chris's final thoughts. Chris, what you got for me?
I feel like you guys are very unfamiliar with Will Ferrell movies. Like, you just don't know them. Like, last
Yes, I
week
do.
you told a story about how you went to a blowjob class with a bunch of women that
That's
was
Old
given
School.
by a gay guy. That's a whole scene from Old School. Today you're talking about picking up women and having sex at
Yeah.
funerals. This is from Wedding Crashers. This is what Will Ferrell did.
But
these are
it's
almost tropes.
But it's because it happens in real life. That is who gives the best blowjob classes. Gay man.
And then also a great place to pick up people is a funeral.
I don't know about that.
Emotions are high. It's taboo. It was Wedding Crashers.
It makes sense, though. I could see weddings because everybody's not only probably half in the bag, but also there's a thing like I just watched my girlfriend get married. I'm feeling sexy on the dance floor now. I'm gonna make it my day. I don't know. I could see weddings.
I think you'd be better if you're trying to have sex with me. You'd probably have better luck at a funeral than a wedding.
I actually know someone who had sex with somebody at one of his parents' funerals outside in the parking lot in the car.
Well, let's get him in studio.
I'm gonna make that as vague as possible. For any listeners out there. The only thing I really want to say is make sure to check out our YouTube because Corinne looks way better this week.
Thanks, guys. I did want to give you one other thing. I didn't get to this, but I would like you to tell me what you want to learn more about as far as Beducated. And so I did screenshot a couple of interesting classes that I can take, but I want you to write in and tell me which of these, well, it doesn't have to be one of these, but I just...
Are these the 4-minute variety? I want you to do some work here, buddy.
So, okay, well, I don't know if they're all 30 minutes or not, but so there's sex and disability, intimacy for people with a disability. I don't know if that disability includes not being able to sleep and whatever. What do I have? Superneural?
Subnambular hyper something.
I'm not sure that's right at all.
Did you look it up?
Yeah, it didn't seem like that was the thing.
There's shibari, the central art of Japanese rope bondage. There is this one. Honestly, this is what I'm leaning towards. You guys tell me. Vaginismus and sex. Practical edu-porn tips for love making with vaginismus.
Oh, I thought vaginismus was like a mixture of vagina and Christmas.
Well, there's. I was like, yes, it is. I watched.
What is vaginismus?
A comedian did a thing on this. Maria,
Stanford?
Yes, and she had this great show, and she was like, basically like your muscles, they all like it closes down, and once a year she has to have sex or else it gets worse, and she calls it vaginismus. I thought it was a joke. Apparently not. Anyways, I'm just saying I would like you guys to get more involved. So please write in. You let me know what you want me to get trained on, and by golly, I'll do it.
I just learned about vaginismus. I didn't hear a word you said. I was like, okay.
Okay, take us home.
All right, guys. We appreciate you watching because, this isn't just a podcast about life.
It's a podcast about how the youth have defaced my home. Okay, before we go, guys, I want to remind you that you can not only listen to us wherever you find your podcasts, but you can also see us on video at the My Safe Word Is More YouTube, and you can always catch us on our Instagram, also My Safe Word Is More.
We look very cute on our YouTube.
We do.